Evening all, Daniel Hand, RPG therapist, and finally, we've got round to doing it. We've been talking about having my guest on for ages, but I am me and she is she, and therefore arranging things is not our strong point.
No.
But it is my honor, my pleasure, my joy, my privilege to introduce my dear, lovely, amazing friend, Erika bleeping Walker. I mean, you don't use your middle name very often, I know, but hi.
Hi.
You're here.
I am.
Now, for people who don't know, you and I, we haven't known each other in the grand scheme of things all that long. Was it November?
Yeah. So we Facebook friended each other at some point in time last year. But then I made a post about doing the writing challenge in November.
Oh, yes, the one that we don't say the name of anymore for
ethical reasons.
Ethical, yeah, absolutely.
And then we bonded over both being utterly insane, crazy people for writing 50,000 words in a month.
Well, I didn't even, I gave up even trying.
But the challenge was there. The initial goal was there.
Well, my challenge was, for people watching, we are members of a streaming channel called the International Writers Fellowship. And in November, for this monthly writing exercise, we did daily streams for the entire month of November. That was my goal for that. You were doing the 50,000 words thing. I was just surviving 30 days in a row of being nice to the internet.
But that's kind of like, we hadn't really talked a whole lot before then. Like maybe a couple of instant messages, maybe.
But
and now here we are, and it's like what, 6 months later?
Yes, it is. And so again, not only are we authors, we're both therapists, and more to the point, both RPG therapists.
Yeah.
And how is that? How is there more than one of us in this world who is that particular combination?
I don't know. I would love to find more of us, but I don't know how to send that beacon out. This box, and this box.
Gotta be out there, but yeah, it's just it's just mind blowing that we should meet. So yes.
Yeah.
But all of which is to say, you're amazing. And would you like to tell us a bit more about how amazing you are? You know, what you do, how you got into it, life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah, I can do that. So, I'm not going to say all of my letters because they're ridiculous. But I'm a clinical social worker. I'm licensed in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Massachusetts. I am a registered play therapist supervisor, and I am advanced certified Adlerian play therapist.
Oh, which you got your lovely certificate
a couple months ago. Yeah.
Which has stars all over it.
It does have stars all over it, and I got the official T-shirt. So when you pass
an official T-shirt,
you get a T-shirt for the first one, and then you get a T-shirt for the second one, and you can only get these T-shirts by doing the certification.
See, that's pretty cool.
It is cool, and it was I've learned a lot. So I am based in Wichita, Kansas, and obviously I don't travel to like Oklahoma and Missouri and Massachusetts to see clients. I do a lot of teletherapy, but I also have a lot of people in office. And let's see, what else? So I started playing. The only RPG that I use is Dungeons and Dragons because it's the only one that my brain can wrap itself around at this point in time.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to learning other ones. It's I have a very I'm a kinesthetic learner. So if I learn another RPG, I need someone to teach me, like to physically teach me. I can't watch videos. I can't, like, it just doesn't stick. And so that's what my friends and I play. So that's what I use in therapy. And kind of how that came about was my friends and I have been playing since January of 2016. And there was this one session where the prior session, I knew that my character was going to have some, it was a very high likelihood that my character was going to have confrontation with another player character. And I am not a confrontational human. It causes me very high anxiety. And as an Adlerian, this was before I started my Adlerian journey. At that point in time, I was a very, very, very maladaptive pleaser.
Right.
So I would do anything and everything, even at my own detriment, to avoid causing any upset. That was not my character at all. So she was very good for me. And so in between the two sessions, I practiced how different scenarios could go. Come game time, they played out how I had practiced them. And on the way home, I was like, holy shit, I did that. I'm guessing I can curse. I can curse, right?
Your spoiler warning, Erika curses almost as much as I do, just so you know.
Okay. I figured that was okay. I thought I'd ask because
Don't worry
that's
about it.
right.
If there are any children watching, this episode isn't for you.
Okay. So, I was driving home and I told my husband, I was like, dude, I did that. And it kind of hit me that I might be able to do this in therapy. Like, this is because I feel like I'm a fairly well-adjusted human most days. And if this silly game of rolling dice and moving this little character around on a board can help me, surely there's got to be some way it can help my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So started doing some research, spent a lot of money on a program that I don't recommend. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I think we know who you mean. Well, I do anyway. When I say that's a representation. Yeah.
So
I know who you mean.
But still did some research, talk to people who do this, and then started doing it in therapy. And it's been very interesting.
Sorry, how long ago was that when you first started?
Started using it in therapy probably a couple years ago. Okay. So not terribly long, but more of it was just it was more me not being confident as a GM.
Yeah.
And not having a story. not having like the basis of a story that I could drop various characters in and kind of know the ins and outs of a world, which I think is part of my ADHD. Like, I need to know. I tried to run back up just a little bit. I GM'd for a couple of friends as like dipping my toes in,
Right.
and I was trying to run Tomb of Annihilation.
I'm sorry, you decided to run Tomb of Annihilation as a dipping your toe in.
It looked fun.
It does. Did you not think to ask the internet or anybody, is
No.
Tomb of Annihilation easy to run?
No, I didn't. No. And so I found myself very quickly getting overwhelmed.
Can't think why.
And I found myself canceling our games a lot because, and it took me a little bit to put it all together, that I felt like, number one, I needed to know everything that was in the book so that I knew what all was possible, what all was in the world, what all was there, which felt very overwhelming. And so then I finally asked my friends, I was like, hey, I figured out why I'm canceling so much. This is not fun for me. It's very overwhelming. Can I take you guys somewhere else? And they said, yeah. And I was like, okay. And then we had a lovely time.
What did you do instead, if you don't mind me asking?
So these were fandom friends that I wrote with, like I wrote fan fiction with.
Oh, okay.
And so we're all in the Glee fandom, and Chris Colfer, who played Kurt Hummel in Glee, is also an author. He wrote the Land of Stories. There are 6 books in the Land of Stories, and then he wrote a prequel trilogy that I believe there are supposed to be 3 more books, but he's taking a break for them. And so I dropped them kind of sort of in that world that I modified.
Okay. So you went straight from running a pre-written campaign to making it up. You didn't try a pre-written scenario, because obviously the thing about Tomb of Annihilation is it's a campaign. It isn't a scenario. You know, whereas obviously you've got something like The Ghosts of Saltmarsh, or what's Candlekeep, that thing, which are very much
yes,
discrete scenarios. But you skipped that and went straight to writing your own.
Yeah, 100% my own.
Good for you.
And I love it. And so then with that, the thing that I love about like this whole world that I created is that there's really no death.
Okay.
And so when I started playing,
I hear the OSR crowd out there going, "What? Then what's the point of playing if there's no risk of death?"
well, no, there's no monsters. There is no, like, clients would never kill a monster. They are freeing trapped souls that are in monsters.
Uh-huh. Is this the same? You're using the same world for your clients?
Yes. So it started with my friends. Yeah, it started with my friends. But because I was using it for therapy and I was getting paid, and parts of it are not my intellectual property, the world itself is not mine. And some of the, one of the, like, the very first character that like my client character, and then the character So I never send my clients' characters on a journey by themselves.
Right.
Like I always play a character with them. And so the very first person that they encounter is someone from the land of stories. So I reached out to Chris Colfer's people and said, hey, I'm a therapist. I use Dungeons and Dragons as part of therapy. I've created a world around these books. Is it okay if I use it? And they sent me back a message and said, yes, absolutely. Don't use any of our artwork. So that was the only stipulation, was that I couldn't use any of the official artwork. So if any artwork that I use is all fan art.
That's interesting. Yes, I mean that to me, from nicest possible way, that's a step further than I'd bother to go if I was using somebody else's model. I mean, I never have. That's the difference, because it's never been a thing. But you know, it's really lovely that you take the time to do something like that.
I don't know that I would for everything, because like I don't ask Disney to use my little Mickey Mouse figure in Sandtray.
No, exactly. Yeah.
This felt different for some reason. Like at that point in time, it felt important for me to ask permission to use that world.
And that's the key thing, is if it felt important to you, then you go with your gut and things like that.
Yeah. So I have that campaign that I run for some clients, and it just kind of depends on what they need and what they want.
And so all of your clients are in the same world? Or is this a group scenario or one-to-one?
So I use I don't do groups. And I'll get to that in a second, my reasoning why. Mm-hmm. But all of mine are individual sessions. And so right now I have I have 4 different clients in that world, all at different places and different stages in the world. So my organization skills for this campaign is ridiculous.
I bet. Because you corrected me, I think it was only a few days ago, because somebody put a question in the geek therapy community, and I said, Erika, she does groups, because you've previously spoken about the characters all being in the same world, and so I just got in my head that it was a group session. But I mean, yeah, I mean that you are braver than me. I just whenever I'm doing it with clients, each individual client has their own unique bubble of space, and that's where everything happens. No organization needed. One client is completely separate from everything else. But to try and keep that, I mean, canon almost.
Yeah.
And see, everybody, this is why Erika and I never get anything sorted out, because insane.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's what I need for my brain. Like, I need to know everything about the world. And and so then I have 2 other clients that are in a completely different world, in a completely different scenario. And so that one was very interesting, coming up with, I had a client who wanted to do pirates and go island to island.
I've spent all the past few days sleeving cards for the past 5 hours ago. Pirates.
So what did I do? My ADHD hyperfixation kicked in, and I found all of the free resources I could find on different types of ships and what are they called, and what are the different parts of the ship called, and who are all of the people, like what are all of the crewmates called, and what do they do. And then I had to find character art for all of those crewmates and name them, which my daughter helped me name them, and make character sheets for them. But that's like what I need. And so I have 2 clients in that world in different places.
I love you. You're amazing. Can I just say that?
Well, thank you. I love you too.
That's insane, and it's amazing. And as soon as you said pirates, I was like, oh yes. But what was that like though? Because that, from the sounds of it, was a unique world created bespoke for this client. I mean, and as opposed to retconning this previously existent work. I mean, what was that like? How was that to create and put together, apart from involving a ridiculous amount of research and nautical expertise? The beginning of the Patrick O'Brian novels, the Aubrey Maturin series, they've got great. Have you seen Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World? Film with Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany.
I know what you're talking about. I can see the cover of the movie poster.
Yeah, but the books that they're based on, they have a picture of a ship in the front of each book, naming each of the sails on the ship.
Yeah. I mean, basically,
I'll show it to you.
Yeah, that's basically what I had to do, is like, so I printed things off, and I threw up with my pen all over them so that I could understand what things were and label them really big. And so that one was really interesting because, like your video, the story is like really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
it's important. And so I had to, what the kid asked for was, so I was telling him about, this other world. And he said, that sounds cool. And I was like, okay, this is what you really want. You want the old. All right. He's like, you could be on a pirate ship and go island to island fighting monsters looking for treasure. It's like, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what I could work with that. But I needed more. I needed there to be more to it. And so, like I do with any creative endeavor that I have, I go in search of prompts, because that's how the creative part of my brain works, whether I'm writing or whether I'm
creating
coming up with a D&D campaign. And so I had found, I don't even remember what the prompt was that I found. But basically in this world, the main player character gets given a box, and is told that they have to take it to the princess, and that it's imperative that it gets to the princess. And that is so this like wizard pops in, gives the client's character this box, tells them, you need to get this to the princess. It's imperative. And then pops away before it can say anything else. And
how big is this box? Big enough to contain a body?
Nope, it's very small. And then it's been interesting to see how the client does with that. Like, they've tried to give it away, and it stays with them. And through interacting with other NPCs on the ship, it is full of the world's hope. So the world's hope is contained in that box that whoever has deemed the client's character, like the powers that be, have deemed that character worthy of transporting the box across the sea to the princess.
You see, the writer side of my brain is going, "Oh my god, that is such a good story," and now I'm thinking, right, you know, these big fantasy novels you're writing, you need to stop writing those and start writing this one. But the therapist part of me is going, that is amazing, because that is just giving them a agency. But I've got this big world affecting task that needs to be done, and kind of how does the client respond to that responsibility, but also what does hope mean to the client? You know, is it something that they have? Is it something that should be ignored? Is it something that should be forgotten? Is it something that should be destroyed? That is, as a concept, that excites me.
Yeah. So it's been very interesting to see how they protect the box, because the monsters are drawn to the box. They want to destroy the box. They want to destroy the hope. And it's been, so the two clients who are playing in that, the one is, I think he was a little taken aback. His self-worth is kind of yuck.
Right.
And so like that was very intentional. Like, you are worthy of being in charge of this. Like, this world needs you, type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. Like, I saw that and I was like, okay, we're going to roll with this. We're going to see where this goes.
Right. And how long have you been working with them, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, obviously, confidentiality, don't let me ask you, but
I think about a year and a half.
Oh, okay. And how have they responded?
Really,
Again.
like, this kid has made so much progress. It's been insane. So it's I mean, you know, like, thinking about the progress that I have made as a human, and then like getting to watch it from the other side is just so stinking cool. It's just really cool. And it comes in ways that, you know, for me, like, I think that I could have gotten to the place that I did in my own, like, journey. I think I could have gotten there, but I have no idea how long it would have taken me. And I don't know, it just would have looked different. And not as, I don't think it would have been as impactful as the way that I did get there.
Because it something like, it captures your imagination, doesn't it? And you'll remember those moments that jump out, because it's, you know, it's the rule of cool. You know, if something's cool, you'll remember it. And so if we can make the recovery process, or the mental health, the mental awareness, or the actualization process, or whatever your particular modality calls the not feeling as rubbish as you once did process, if you can make that cool, then you'll just engage with it more anyway, but you'll just remember that time that the big three-headed monster tried to get the box of hope, and you got one head to eat the other head whilst you chopped off the third. Or that was a very specific example. I've but yeah, and then you remember, okay, well, Erika helped me get through X, Y, and Z. I felt bad. Then I felt less bad. And a big part of the process after your therapy is concluded is remembering that you're better than you once were. And you will always forget every now and again. I forget that I am not as dark a place as I once was.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have the three-headed monster after the box of hope memory, that's a step to go, oh yeah, I feel a bit down today, but remember how Erika helped me, I'll be okay tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool.
Box of hope. Without spoilers, because just in case your client watches, will they ever find the princess?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not one of those MacGuffins that is literally, oh no, princess doesn't exist. You'll never find her.
No, I have artwork for the princess and everything.
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
I have artwork for the princess, and I think I have a character sheet for her, and
It's
I
Harley
have her
Quinn,
made.
isn't it? That's the princess.
Oh my god, that would be so stinking cool. No, it's not Harley Quinn. It might be, though.
Oh, I forget. I'm not right. Everybody watching this, I'm still learning, but the lesson for me is never say anything in front of Erika, because she will roll with it. And I buy a lot of dice. I buy a lot of tarot cards and a lot of oracle cards. This individual right here, I think, owns everything on the planet. And every time I mention something, I see you pick up a pencil and write it down. And I think, oh my God, I've just cost you money again.
It's all good. It's all good.
So again, just so for the International Writers Fellowship, our writing stream, we draw tarot cards every week, just because everybody has a lot of tarot cards, and every single time I get a new one, I go, oh, look at this. Erika's like, oh yeah, that's cool. What's it called again? Who's it by?
Totally not or adding it to my Amazon wish list.
Completely not. But yes, I mean, you do love Harley Quinn, as is evidenced by the wall behind you.
Yeah. Well, and that's just a little piece of it. I actually moved my Harley all of my Harley stuff over there.
But and that's kind of what I wanted to ask of yourself in particular, because being an author, as well as a therapist, as well as a gamer, a hobbyist, most of the people I've spoken to here tend to only do the RPG stuff, or don't do the RPG stuff. They do geek stuff more generally, computer games and stuff. How's the storytelling side of things? So this is the first time I've really been able to ask this question, approaching it as a therapist who happens to be an author. How do you find the story element with your clients, and how do you get that to work? How do you use stories and storytelling, or the fictional frame, to use that terminology, to elicit change within your clients?
So this is really cool, because like storytelling and creating metaphors and stuff like that is a really big piece of Adlerian play therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are whole workshops on like creating metaphors and stuff like that. And so that part for me usually isn't a problem. Where if I have a story that I need to like come up with, and something doesn't like just jump out at me right away, I will go and I will pull up Pinterest and I will look up story prompts until the one the one comes up, and I'm like, okay, that's it. Because once I don't, sometimes it's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse, the way that my brain works, because once I have the prompt, and it can be a sentence, it can be 2 sentences, I can go with it. Like I can come up with the whole entire story.
Right. Okay.
I need the little push.
Yeah,
I need the little like the little nugget. Yeah. But what's cool about, I don't know, being able to incorporate all of the things that, like, I don't know, just all of the facets of the things that I love, is that coming up with this story isn't usually difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And like the telling the story isn't difficult. So it was more, the thing that I struggled the most with and that I was most nervous about was actually like coming up with the monsters and the maps and making sure I was, or like that was stressful for me. But like actually telling the story, once I was able to tell my story the way I wanted to tell it, I've never really had a problem. Like I've never had issues with that.
So it was just the logistics of putting an RPG, a D&D campaign together.
Yes.
Okay. And how do you get the clients presenting issues? How do you address them via the story, via the monster, the character sheets, and the map, the battle maps and stuff? How do you go about therapizing your clients via Dungeons and or Dragons?
So
and Boxes of Hope. Such a cool idea. I love it.
You can totally use it. You should use it.
I almost certainly will now that you've used it.
Go for it.
Stealing that.
Go. I don't think that I don't know that was an original idea. I think I got that from somewhere. So totally use it. So it's very interesting in that it depends on which isn't a great answer.
Well, no, but that's always the answer. You know, we have it drilled into us from day one of our training. Every client is unique. Yeah.
Well, and the thing about D&D is I can plan something,
and it will never go the way you want it to.
No. And the client will take it where they need it. So the very first, it was like the second or third session with this on this pirate campaign. So how it happens is, you know, now that this box of hope has appeared, all of these like random ass islands are popping up all over on the journey from where they got the box to get to the princess. And because I didn't know how else to like have them find right, I'm like, how else am I good? So anyway, it just happened.
Sorry, there isn't an RPG. I think it might be a Powered by the Apocalypse game, Argon or something. Basically, it's a classical Greek Greek mythology setting, but it's got rules in it for creating your own individual islands. And the idea being that every session of play is an island, and then you go to the next one, then you go to the next one, and go to the next one. But it's got rules in it for creating the islands, and I can't. It will come to me, I'm sure. But yeah, so that's where my brain went when you said that.
So that's basically what we're doing. We're going island to island, and there's monsters and treasure. But there are monsters on top of the island. And then there's like a pull to a magical door. And then there's this whole under the island area that is not spatially equivalent to the top of the island.
I approve.
Because do you know how hard it is to find maps that match each other because okay, so internet, I am not the map person. I go and I find the maps and I pop them into Roll20. Because that's where I'm played.
You use Roll20.
Yeah. So so it's really hard to find a top of a map and underneath an island. So why the hell not? I can do
absolutely. It's magic. Magic is very useful at times.
Magic is a thing. And these are islands that weren't there.
Yeah.
And after they leave the island, it disappears. So
job done, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, the first time I'm like, okay, wants to find treasure, wants to fight monsters. All right, we're gonna like boost this kid's capable, which is one of the crucial C's, by being able to fight these monsters. And we're we're gonna build crucial C's. We're gonna work with personality priorities. Like we're gonna do these things. We're gonna like be assessing life tasks, like all of the Adlerian things. I'm gonna be doing all that while we're fighting monsters and shit.
Lovely.
And so it goes underneath, and there are giant spiders under there. Like that's the monster, because this like level 2.
Yeah.
So we're giant spiders.
Nice spiders.
And he's like, I want to pet the spider. Oh, okay. Rolled a horrible animal handling.
Mm.
And I was like, I really want to see.
Your hand
like,
off?
I want to see what. Like I wanted to see this out. So like I didn't have the spider like attack.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really wanted to see where this was going to go.
You're right. The fact, as soon as they do something like that, it's like the roles and everything else kind of have to go out the window. It's like, no, this is going to be therapeutic no matter what happens. So we need to just go with the flow and see what happens next. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he goes to the islands, he goes and then chooses one crew member. So we talked about this like inside the game. And I said, when you go to the islands, how do you want to do that? Because not everybody's going to go, because then that's me doing a whole lot and you not getting a whole lot. And he's like, well, let's just take one person. I was like, okay, do you want to choose at random, or do you want to roll a dice, and whichever number it lands on, that corresponds with the person? He's like, let's do that. And I was like, cool. So he has one other person on this island with him. And when he goes underneath, he wanted to go alone. I was like, okay, that's fine. They're just spiders. They're, I'm not going to kill this kid.
Yeah.
So he finally has a successful animal handling and is petting the spider and wanting to befriend this giant spider. It's like, okay, all right. Yeah, you've made friends with the spider. He's a halfling. Made friends with this giant spider, goes and finds the treasure, comes back out of the cave, sees the other person and raises his hand. Like, so he did this in real life. I made a new friend.
Oh, my heart just jumped there. Oh.
I'm like, that needed to happen. That was not my plan. So it depends.
Yes, it really does.
Because I have plans, yes. And they will take it where they need to go.
And I think, I mean, for me, that is actually very much the answer, is kind of let them take ownership of not the narrative, not just their character, but the entirety of the story. We're more just prodders than anything else.
Yeah. Well, and so when we were meeting yesterday talking about tags, it's kind of like therapy, regular therapy. We are there to hold space. We are there to guide, and the client will take the therapy where they want to take it.
Yes.
And I feel like it's the same with D&D or with RPG therapy, with any sort of RPG. Like, they're going to get out of it what they need, what they want. And sometimes I 100% believe, and I have done this before, that sometimes kids especially and adults need to play. Sometimes they need to be able to embody this badass warrior that has a weapon that is probably way too overpowered and be able to just wail on something.
Too right.
And if I can provide a space for them to do that, when they would not have any opportunity to do that elsewhere, that is therapeutic in and of itself.
Couldn't agree any more fervently. That is, yes. Because a lot of us have memories of, playing pretend, playing Power Rangers, playing cops and robbers, just any number of, you just inhabit your own little world and you go around being the person that you just kind of want to be, because they're cool, they're powerful, they're, insert descriptor here. And when we're adults, we kind of forget that we're allowed to do stuff like that.
Yes, there is an amazing article by, oh my gosh, I want to say his name is Stephen, but I don't know that Stephen is correct. Dieterling. I know his last name is Dieterling, and it's called Alibis in Play. And it is all about adults in play and how we play conditionally. Like, it's from a journal. It's a journal article.
Tell me more. That sounds fascinating.
While I'm talking, I'm going to look for it, because
no, don't worry. Just tell me about it afterwards, and I'll put the link down below, because people are gonna,
okay, yeah, we'll do that. But like, so it talks about how, so like when my kid was in elementary school. Now, this isn't true because I play and it's important, but like, there were other parents would say things like, I'm only doing this because it's for a fundraiser, or everything was conditional. I'm playing because my kid wants me to. I'm playing because it's for charity. It's never, as an adult, I'm playing because I want to play and because play is important.
Yes.
And so this whole article is about that and how incredibly important play is and continues to be even into adulthood. And it can look different. Play can look different for like it can just look different. So Alana, who was the very first D&D character I ever created, had eventually got access to Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion, and which is a spell.
That was brave from your DM.
Well,
that could never be misused.
It really, and I don't know if it's just me, and I really try not to misuse spells. And part of it is I don't think so far outside of the box like that.
You see, my group was like, what is the craziest way we could use this spell? Okay, let's do that. Not because, for any particular reason. It's just like, again, no, back to the plate. We're there because we kind of revel in the madness, in the chaos. I mean, whenever we get a TPK, we're cheering. We're like, yeah, come on, it's gonna happen. It's happening. And we will, to the point where we will get when it looks like we're all gonna die, and then we're like, oh, we made it. Oh well, next time. So yeah, it's like, come on. If we had access to that spell, we would be tearing the place up. It'd be amazing.
It takes a full minute to cast it, so you can't cast it in combat.
In combat, yeah.
Unless you're a sorcerer and have the meta magic quicken spell that goes, it can take it from a minute to a round or an action.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I had asked him, I was like, hey, how strict are you going to be on the dimensions of this mansion? Like, because it has parameters of like, it's this big by this big. And he said, Erika, go wild. And I said, okay. So I spent 6 hours one day on Pinterest and in paint. So I found a mansion that I really, really liked.
Nice.
And I downloaded all the floors, and then I put them in paint, and I reworked some things, and then added some walls, and then labeled some things differently to meet the needs of our party. And then I, got back into Pinterest and found pictures of what the kitchen looks like, and what the dining room looks like, and what the bar looked like, and the stage, and the training room, and the bedroom, like Alana's bedroom and her bathroom. And like, and my husband gave me shit for it. He's like, you spent 6 hours doing what? And I said, making Alana's mansion. Do you want to see it? And so I was telling my therapist about it, and she said, Erika, that's your play.
That's play, absolutely.
That's part of the way that you play. Yeah. And I was like, you're right. And so then when I told my husband that, he's like, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have given you crap about that.
But I mean, a huge part of this work is nagging our clients to take care of themselves, to implement self-care activities, going out for walks, playing computer games, playing musical instruments, writing anything. And that's just another word for play.
Yeah. So my now character just learned, so she doesn't have magic, but we're in a world where we can learn runic magic.
Okay.
And because she's a barbarian and does, like, I don't want magic. Like, I don't want to learn magic, like, to do, like, I want the utility magic. So she just learned the mansion.
I've got a wild magic barbarian who took I took one level in sorcerer just so that I could be a wild magic, just because the wild magic table is just the best thing in existence. Anything where you have a chance of turning yourself into a potted plant makes me happy.
But it's just it's so fun. It's so fun, and it's like it is my biggest self-care.
Then say no more at the end of the day.
And then getting to do it for work. I mean, they always say, like, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Except for when your client attacks their deity, and then you're like, what in the hell is going on right now?
Yeah, you see, obviously I know what you're talking about, but viewers won't, and we probably best not go into details because clients might identify it. But yeah, but that comes back to the whole. I mean, that is just the classic GM. The thing that will make GMs everywhere cry is it doesn't matter how much prep you put into it, your players will immediately do the one thing you didn't think of.
Yes.
And like pet a spider. And it's just a case of, I mean, for us as the therapist, it's the kind of the harder work is reflecting on it outside of the game and thinking, well, how can I make sure that we're playing, this is RPG therapy as opposed to just playing an RPG.
Yes.
And I've come across individuals and organizations over here who I've seen them work with clients, and I'm like, this isn't therapy. This is just you playing D&D. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of therapeutic value in that as an exercise, but it's not the same thing. And yeah, that to me, that's kind of the most important elements of it, is making sure that we keep the game focused on the client and their needs.
Well, and then what I have found with this experience specifically is when you get to the spot where it's like, I don't know what to do, like taking a step back and then like pausing with the RPG therapy and revisiting, okay, let's get more in depth with your character. Tell me more about your character, because when you first created your character, you didn't really know them all that well, and we've been playing them for this long. So tell me more about them. Tell me what they've learned. Tell me like all of these things. Help me understand their thinking. Help me like all of these things. Because I'm not in that player's mind.
No.
And when I can, then gain all of the insight as to what this character is thinking, why they're doing what they're doing, what their motives were, what they were thinking, and learning backstory that I never knew. Oh, things make a lot more sense now.
Because again, it's giving the client ownership of the narrative, and they will, even though they probably don't have a clue what they're talking about in terms of the therapeutic value of it, they know what their needs are, and they will instinctively tell you those needs, even if they don't realize that that's what they're doing.
Yes.
I love this job so much.
I do too. Well, and then I think it's also really important, and this is something that I didn't necessarily like have a name for before I started my Adlerian journey. One of the biggest principles that I have learned that I love and I embody is modeling the courage to be imperfect. And
that's one of the phrases I use often, is just give yourself permission to be bad.
Yeah. And so, I am not one of those people who is going to dig in my heels and like if I would have gone with my first gut reaction with this client, it would have been damaging to like our therapeutic relationship.
Okay.
Because I didn't understand what was going on. But because so, and if I would have just kept pushing through, but because I was, you know, for me, I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I need to take a step back and kind of like put it on me as the therapist to like, I need to understand more. Like, I think that for this client in particular was kind of it was a different thing for them to, like, this client didn't prove me wrong. I was telling them like I was wrong.
Right. And just hadn't experienced that from life.
Yeah. It's like I was wrong and I need to understand more so that I can proceed in the best possible way to help you.
And that frankly says everything about your work ethic. The fact that, and more people in this profession should just have the courage to do that. Because if you don't know what's going on and you push through anyway, that's, you're gonna hurt the client. May only be a little bit, but you'll still do it. You know, because countertransference is a thing. I mean, you know, if you follow that particular modality, and if you behave towards your clients the way the rest of the world behaves towards them, then all you're doing is reinforcing the presenting issues. You're just going, yeah, see, the world was right about you.
Yep.
And that is really not our job. Our job is to say, no, no. And so by just taking a step back and saying, just what's going on here? You know, you're the expert in your life, in your issues. But also swords and dragons and pirates and boxes of hope.
And spider friends.
And spider friends. That was just the cutest. When you said that, my heart was like, oh.
Yeah. And that kid has given me permission to tell that story.
Oh. But that is how powerful this as a what's it called? A modality, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Is because it gets you excited. It gets you excited enough to say, not just, oh yeah, my character made a friend, to actually go, I made a friend.
Yes. And not like, I was just, and for a kid who at times really struggles to make friends. And I'm just like, oh.
Most therapists would not be able to give their client that. Just the fact that you were able to give him that moment.
Yeah. Well, and then I gave it, so in the chest, because he hadn't found the treasure in that cave yet, I switched up what was in the chest of treasure, and in there was the Band of the Fell Beast, because the Band of the Fell Beast is a ring that one of the abilities grants you the ability to talk to animals.
Oh, yes.
I was like, I don't even care. You can have that. Like, he's gonna get that, because you need to be able to talk to your new friend.
And presumably the new friend follows them around on the rest of the adventures?
Oh yeah, it's a mount.
Yes. Always.
We made armor for it and everything.
Of course you did. Why wouldn't you? That's what are animals for if you're not going to put armor on them?
So now this giant spider has a better armor class than the client's character.
You see, now I'm thinking, I don't know if they're still available. Probably not. No, because they've stopped. Warhammer, when it was still Fantasy Battle before they changed to Age of Sigmar, the Orcs and Goblins had a unit of Goblin Spider Riders. Yes, exactly. So you had spiders that you could, see, internet, this, I say something and immediately the pen gets picked up. I'm just going to write them. Make it. So again, I have just cost Erika money.
And that's only because my brain won't remember it. I have to write things down.
But spider riders are cool.
Yeah.
I've just spotted the time. We've been rambling on for over an hour, and I just realized
We have.
As is our want, because we just ramble from one topic to another. So I don't know if I've actually asked you any pertinent questions, but I've enjoyed it. Is there something you'd like me to bring up, or is something you'd like to bring up? Something that I have, any really deep philosophical issues that we haven't touched upon?
No, but I never did say why I didn't do groups.
You never did say why you didn't do groups. No.
So and this is a personal thing. This is not me saying anything bad or negative or anything of the sort about anyone who does do groups the way that I do not. Okay. So I have to say that because I know that there are people who do groups that are just by themselves. So right. I will not do a group because I don't have a co-leader to do a group with. And for me, and just the way that I process information and, my ADHD brain, I don't feel comfortable doing a TTRPG group with just myself.
Right. Okay.
So, now I know that there are people who do that and they're very successful, and that's amazing. I have not tried to do that yet, and that is not something that I am willing to dive into because I am just too terrified of missing something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that goes back to the age-old thing that we, again, as therapists, we've got to remember: know your limitations. Don't do things that you aren't able to do.
Yes.
Plus, why should you? If you don't want to do it, you're busy enough as it is. Don't don't add work just because it's got the word group attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to time, and there's actually another therapist who is in Wichita who's reached out to me and we've talked about it, but then there's insurance issues, and which is great, and wanting to make it accessible and also being compensated for our time, because there's a lot that goes into running a campaign.
Yeah, especially when you spend 6 hours making a mansion.
Exactly. But her mansion is so freaking cool.
Oh dear. On that note, I suppose I should let you get on with your day. Thank you so much for doing this. I say this to all of my guests, but we're going to have to do this again simply because. Yeah. But I mean, but before we talk pretty much weekly as it is anyway because of our writing stream. But yeah, tell us who you are, where we can find you, and etc. Do the internety things for us, Erika.
So my website is erikawalkertherapy.com, Erika with a K. And then eventually we will have rpgplaytherapy.com up and running. So where we will be advertising trainings to train other therapists on how to use.
Ooh, you get your own market. That's mine. I'm the one who does that.
It's okay. So it's D&D in play therapy from an Adlerian perspective.
I was being entirely not serious, Erika. Come on, we need more people like you.
It's like, I know, but like it is very specific.
I get very anxious making jokes with my American friends because it's a thing over there in some way you've got to say I'm kidding.
Oh no.
You know, whereas over here we just assume, if I were to tell a joke like that and then say I'm kidding to the friend, it would feel condescending. Whereas when I speak to you guys, I'm terrified. Oh my god, do they think I'm being offensive? Oh no, I'm joking. I was really joking. Honest.
Well, no, but I say that because we are. My brain works in Adlerian, and so I am very like my trainings are very Adlerian focused, and so if people want something more generalized, then don't come to mine because mine is pretty Adlerian focused. And then I'm also on Twitch and YouTube at RPG Play Therapy. There's not a ton there yet.
And wouldn't you know it, at that particular point, my internet decided to give out. So at least it didn't happen earlier on in the day, eh? If it was going to cut out on me, that was the best time for it, I suppose. Huge thanks to Erika for coming along. I hope you love her as much as I do. If you want to come and see us talk more about the writing side of things, but we talk about therapy and roleplay plenty as well. Do come and check out our chat with our friends on the International Writers Fellowship. It's on Twitch and YouTube, so we stream every Monday. Be great to have you along with us there. Otherwise, keep an eye out for another video next week. Until then, take it easy, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and have a good one. Cheers.